1st, Wayne Rooney has shown the world his recent hair transplant. It cost him a whopping £30,000. At only 25 years old, he wanted to replace his lost follicles and hang on to his youth. Let's meet Mark Black, who's done a Rooney too. Hello.
Hello.
And thanks for being so candid about it and honest and coming along to talk about it. How old were you when you started to see the bald bit showing?
Probably about 28.
And your thoughts were?
Well, it was very subtle, to be honest. I got a big mop of curly hair. And so it was when I cut my hair short, I just noticed it was a bit thin in the crown. So my initial thought was, okay, just grow the hair a bit longer and see what happens.
And what did happen?
I lost more hair as time went on. And in 1998, I decided to do something about it. And so I went to see various people, tried various products, and I visited Dr. Farjo at the Farjo Medical Centre, and he had a look at me and he sent me away.
Why?
Because I hadn't lost enough hair at that point, and basically you have to have an idea as to how much more hair someone's going to lose. So I was very disappointed because I'd actually met a chap who had had a hair transplant at the clinic and saw how amazing it looked. So I thought, great, I'm set. But he sent me away. But he was honest, and that was the key thing.
Okay, so eventually you did lose enough hair for him to have a crack at it.
It was 9 years later.
And it involves what? Taking clumps of good hair from the back of your head or from your bottom or your shoulders, or where'd you get it from? Your nostrils? Where'd you get it from? And then sticking it in the front of your head. Is that essentially the operation?
Well, basically the type of surgery I had was strip surgery, FUT. And
FUT yourself? Ben, punch him in the head. Sorry, carry on.
Whatever tickles your fancy. Anyway, basically removing a strip of scalp from the back, a centimetre high strip, but under local anaesthetic. Actually, it's not that bad.
What, afterwards, with a scar? Do you get a scar or something? I thought your hair doesn't grow over a scar. Yours is all right then.
No. Well, basically, what happens is once you've had this strip of scalp removed to harvest these follicles, then basically the area is sewn up, the donor area, as they call it.
You get a facelift at the same time.
That's actually not a bad idea.
People tighten up.
They closed the area down, did they?
They close it up using trichophytic.
So they cut a bit from the back of your head where the hair was quite thick, yes, and stuck it in the front of your head. Is that right?
No, in the crown area for me.
I
had work done in the crown because I'd lost a lot of hair there.
We can look at the photo actually. We can see your before and your after. Oh, I see. Okay.
Wow.
All right. Well, that is convincing, isn't it? Yeah. How are you now? Transformed? Are you just more virile, more attractive to women? What's going on now?
Well, I mean, I never felt depressed that I'd lost hair. It was just that I'd rather have had it. It's like going to the gym for me. It's an extension of just wanting to feel good in myself, you know. So, you know,
how much did you pay for it?
6,500.
And a bargain as far as you're concerned, or expensive, or?
For me, it was great because I'm a musician and an actor, and so it was very important for me, image-wise, to have it done.
Because otherwise you'd only could play a slaphead. You'd have to be one of the Mitchell brothers, the long-lost one.
Well, I could have done that if I suppose. It wouldn't have been the end of the world. But I chose to do that. And at the end of the day, when you work out how much you could spend on alcohol, cigarettes, which I don't drink much, and I don't smoke. So over a lifetime, you can spend a lot more on those things.
So £6,500 for a head of hair, as far as you're concerned, it's money well spent.
Well,
let's go to Wayne. I mean, if somebody said to you, Wayne, Rapunzel, let down your golden hair, you'd have trouble.
Oh, I would, definitely. I haven't got any. But luckily, bald is in, so that's not so bad.
So did you go through a crisis of confidence over your hair loss at one point?
I had a dreadful time, because I was a dancer, you know, and you need a bit of wavy hair going on above. And I used to have these great white holes appearing, and my grandmother said to me, what a shame you're losing your locks. It was your only beauty, dear. But she didn't mean it awfully. It came out like that. But I knew what she meant.
Yes.
And because I had a nice head of hair. But the thing was, I used to then get this brown spray.
Oh, man.
Brandel or whatever it's called, and like spray it into the gaps, and it was like brown paint.
Oh, gosh.
And of course, if I forgot to shower at the end of the show and walked out in the rain, I'd come out with dripping brown things all over.
If I said, listen, have one of these ops on me, I'll pay, I'll write you a cheque. Not that I will, it's not a bona fide offer. But if I did, would you say, okay, all right?
No,
not now.
No,
why not?
No, it's too late, and I don't mind. And you know, everybody knows me like this now, so it's not so bad. But when you first go through it, it is a really traumatic thing. when you start losing your hair.
Let me bring in my guest who's sitting very pretty with his hair sprouting from his head quite naturally, just wherever God intended.
Completely.
Yes. Now this is your profession. You're a trichologist, right?
Absolutely.
And so tell me about hair loss and baldness and men and hair transplants.
It's just an overproduction of male hormone. It's a natural state of affairs. What Mark's done here is the best option available to him.
Yes.
And he's done it at the right time. We get a lot of young men come to us panicking very, very early on, and they see their father, they see their grandfather losing their hair, and they've got this idea in their head that prevention is better than cure. And you just have to get them to calm down a little bit and say, well, look, okay, let's just go over things and just make sure things are sensible first, and then you go away and come back and have a checkup over a couple of years, and if things do progress, then there's treatments available where they can look after their hair and scalp to maintain it better.
And those are kind of lotions, potions, pills, that type of thing.
And there's some prescription medications which they can use.
Does it work?
They're very successful, but they do have
Wayne's going no way.
They are successful.
Does
They have side effects. We don't prescribe them.
Side effects?
Yes, we don't prescribe those.
What sort of side effects?
Hair growing down your nose now.
Well, that would be lovely, wouldn't it?
Well, actually.
But there's a drug called Propecia, which, I mean, can make men impotent. I mean,
Well, you don't want to be irresistible to women and then not be able to perform when they finally want to.
Actually,
but that's a combination therapy that you're probably using as well at the same time.
I'm using a combination therapy of minoxidil and finasteride or Propecia. Yeah. And
So you've had the operation and you're still taking stuff?
for the frontal area to keep the frontal
When
area
he's had
long.
the surgery done, he's got to maintain the rest of the hairline.
Yes, oh
So
gosh.
that's the thing, because
It's a lifetime commitment, exhausting just thinking about it. Let's go to the surgeon responsible on the line, Dr. Farjo. Hello.
Hello.
Bit of a palaver, all this, isn't it?
Well, it's an important issue for people. Everybody's got a hang up about something, and for a lot of men, it's their hair.
I mean, how often is it not successful if you have a hair transplant? Because we have heard of some pretty high-profile horror stories of, celebrities with lots and lots of money who've gone all over the world just to get a few more follicles, and it hasn't worked. They're condemned to wear a syrup pretty much forever, or a hat.
I said, it does work. It almost always works. When you hear about something that hasn't worked, most likely it's that it didn't look what they expected it to look like, or it wasn't done properly. I mean, the biggest complication in hair transplantation is the artistic or the aesthetic side of it. Designing the hairline, is it as thick as the person expected? Were they given what they promised? But from a surgical point of view, the hair actually always works. And if you choose the patient correctly, if you choose the right candidate and you consult with them properly, then it should produce the result that they expected. But within an operation, not every hair grows, it is true. Out of each 100 hairs, you can grow maybe 85 would be successful. So there is a 10 to 15% failure rate amongst the hair.
But you're not putting in each individual hair. You're just cutting out a chunk of the head and moving it a bit further up, really, aren't you?
Well, the hairs on your head are not in individual formation anyway. They are in groups called follicular units, and they range between 1 to 4 hairs each. And what we do, when we remove the tissue from the back of the head, we then isolate it under microscopes into these individual follicular unit groupings, and we just transfer them in their natural groupings, if you like.
Will my guest here have a decent head of hair forever, or is there a danger it might all start falling out? I was a bit alarmed, I must admit, when I said that.
Are we talking about Mark?
Yeah, we're talking about Mark.
Right. The transplanted hair will behave in exactly the same way as the area where I took it from. So as long as the hair at the back of the head, where you expect a man to retain his hair, stays, then the transplant will follow suit. But sometimes, in much older age, you may get thinning throughout the whole area, so even the back and the sides start to thin a little bit. And if that was to happen in older age, then the transplant may thin out as well.
Dr. Farjo, thank you. Let me go to bed on the sofa. I mean, I don't mean to look at you pointedly, but the hair situation?
Yeah, the hair situation. No, I've been incredibly lucky, actually, because being bald became a style, and I'm not bald now. Funny enough, as I've got older, I've wanted to maintain my hair. When I was younger, I was always shaving it off and stuff like that, and now, I think you should be nice about it, though, sweetheart, because you don't know how long this little mane is going to be here. You know what I mean?
I am. I'm
also,
running my fingers through your wild crop of hair as well.
And also, I'll probably put this out there, but I think that, sometimes when a black guy's got a shaved head, it's more of a style. And sometimes on a white guy, it can look a bit more aggressive, which is quite weird to say, but this is in my experience.
Very, very quickly, go to your lovely sofa. No, the one there, the gentleman with
Oh, right, yeah, well, what
with
do
the
you think
hair.
about losing your hair, then?
Well, I'm not too sure what I think about the surgery. I mean, I think it's just another form of surgery that's happening. I mean, obviously I'm going to be a bit of a hypocrite because I've got a lot of hair on me.
Exactly.
And
I just thought I'd give you the